Oh, shoot. Where are we?
We're live now.
Hey, it looks like I'm right next door to you.
You do look like you're right next door to me. That's pretty cool. So, hey, everybody. I'm JohnPaduchak.
And I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelin of Maximize Your Media and Life Beyond Practice for those doctors who like to escape the exam room.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Got to share it now because...
Yep. Sharing is caring.
I saw that you had it in Troy's group, which was great.
So. You need a screen, man. What's going on with you?
I got a screen. I'm in a different place. That's
Troy McDonald says, now I need a screen.
Now he needs a screen. Yeah.
You're going to show
three screens.
Screen.
3 screens, hey, no sheet.
It's my buddy Richard Evans watching me today. I'm so
excited. That's good. Got people.
I'm so excited. My friends don't watch me too frequently.
People
hey, Richard. I'm glad you're well.
Hey, now, did you share this to start out on your page, or where did you start?
I started on my personal profile today.
Oh, okay. Because I have to look for it.
Run of the mill. We get on, we start sharing, we wait for people to show up.
Yeah, well, it gives us a time. We can chit chat while we're trying to share.
Exactly. But today's a cool topic, near and dear to my heart. I'm sure. Yeah, it's going to be good. You're going to like it.
Because you're guarantee.
Home right now, and we're talking all about you, Richard. Talking all about you. So we're talking today about tips for people working from home.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because we're used to working from home. This is what we do.
Yeah, this wasn't like a big change, other than we don't go out as much.
Well, it's a huge change. And you're trying to work. I jokingly refer a lot of times we're chatting about. There's a TV commercial where the guy comes skiing out in his socks and underwear while his wife is on like Zoom trying to do a web conference. I can totally almost see you there, Richard. I totally can. So
the guy walking behind
that, and the poor housewife with her kids duct tape behind her saying, I don't have a problem with my children. This is all good. But in reality, we're all having those challenges, right? Because we're all cooped up at home. We're trying to work for the first time. Many of us are trying to do Zooms, and we've got crazy backgrounds. So you see, this is why Dr. V and I have these wonderful matching screens today.
Well, because I'm down in my wife's office instead of my usual office because we're having some work done upstairs. And so suddenly I just realized all I had was this door behind me, and it looked like I was in prison someplace. So I decided to play matchy-matchy with John's screen.
Exactly. And the other thing, too, is a lot of times, especially at home, and you're doing these Zoom conferences, you have lighting issues.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going this way and that way. And
well, yeah, go back a second. So show your lighting issues. So a lot of times,
all right, so
you're sitting in front of a window, you're backlit.
Hang on, because I was trying to share at the same time when you say do this. So let's try this. Okay. So this is where I was earlier, backlit, which gave me that sort of saintly halo glow, but then it made my face too dark. Exactly. And then if I did this with the front window of the office, it was even worse. I'm just silhouetted. And so finally I thought, well, you sitting at the desk, this is the way it is at her desk. Yeah. But she's not doing lives from her desk, so why would she care? And so I have to go all the way and sit at the edge of the desk, and that's the reason why I brought the screen there, so it didn't look like I was a prisoner of love.
There. And the lighting coming through the rice paper is much softer. So it's
it's softer, but it still created more of a halo effect than I wanted.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah,
pretty good actually. It brightens up good by coming through the. Yeah, believe me, you're better off with the.
Better off this way.
Yeah, stay there.
I think when you take pictures of people, though, you don't want to have like a post sticking out of their head, like you do, and so I probably would do it like this. There, exactly. You don't have to worry about that. I was talking about photographs. We always talk about if you have a light pole or something sticking out of your head.
I used to do that. I used to have a plant that sat here to the side. Yeah. It looked like I had a plant growing out of me.
Did it keep you company?
There was a movie, I guess, in the UK, Attack Triffids or something like that.
Oh.
One of my friends who was a documentary filmmaker, he goes, "You look like that movie, Attack of the Triffids." So I don't never seen the movie. If any of you have, that's where I was at. So those of you who are on Zoom and doing conferences, important to have kind of a nice non-cluttered background, and so you look good on video, you look professional. I love the one the other day. They're talking about this lady who made herself into a potato, and she was a potato all the way through.
Not purposefully.
Meeting. It
Not
was.
purposefully.
Yeah, I posted that on my page the other day. Somebody was talking about that. So don't play around with those, special filters.
Special apps and filters. Yeah, they're going to get you in trouble.
Yeah, just stick with the plain and simple things like this. So, what other challenges are people having at home, do you think, Dr. V, right now?
If you have children and you are trying to homeschool them and run a business, it's particularly challenging. Because you have to, or well, not have to, but at least one of the parents is probably going to be involved in making sure the assignments are done and this and that. And since both me and my wife work from home, we've had that type of thing, where it can be a distraction, ironically. But also bandwidth, because they're doing Zoom calls now. And so sometimes you have to split your time in terms of bandwidth. It's particularly challenging. Because you have to. I'm getting an echo. At least one of the parents is probably you or me. Making sure the assignments are done and this and that. And since both. Oh, I know what it is. It started a watch party. I can't take that.
I know something was doubling up there.
Yeah, because what happened was somehow I clicked by mistake because I'm sharing to people. I clicked your live from your personal page and it fed back into here. So there's another problem with working from home. Make sure your windows are correct.
Yes, and practice things. So like if you're going to be on doing something and you've never done it, see if you can get a friend to practice it with you beforehand to make sure that everything is okay.
Yeah.
So we always like to practice these things and try to work them through and make sure that we aren't going to have any kinds of crazy challenges that we weren't expecting.
Well, we had that yesterday, but that's okay.
Yeah, we did, and I think I might have been to blame on that, because then I noticed too that it seemed my bottom speaker on my monitor was on.
Reflector reflected everything back.
I guess. So it's all of those little things, you just want to kind of work through. And then, the other thing that I can imagine is people trying to fax stuff from home or do things like that you don't normally have. There's a lot of great apps for your phones now, like this scanner. It's a great phone app. I use that stuff a lot.
I use Genius Scan, and I like that a lot. It's free, and they had a paid version that you needed to upgrade to at some point, but I'm finding the free version works perfectly well.
A lot of times it does.
Yeah.
Many times it does.
Yeah.
Yep. So, anything that you use frequently, there's probably an app for that. So just look around. You might find something that works.
There's an app for that.
Yep. Let's see. What other things might you run into at home? Finding
space
to work.
Space. The final frontier.
And space. So definitely trying to find a nice dedicated space to work in. Finding a place that's quiet, you can get away to easily. In a secondary space where you can shut a door if need be.
Yeah, and put up your screen.
And control these things. And they're never expensive. The screens, we like them. They're never expensive. They also make these portable screens. Remember when we had young kids and we had the toys that used to pop out? They make portable screens that you can fold up and then they pop out.
Okay.
Like a 4 by 5 foot screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
paintings and posters are cheap.
Big, and you can just pop them out.
A poster is really cheap too. I've seen some people even have a poster made of bricks.
Or if you're like awesome. McDonald, a sheet will do.
A sheet. No sheet, man.
Yep, exactly. A sheet will do.
I'm trying to find my glasses again. I wanted to share it to one more place. I'm trying to figure out where it is. So a dedicated space is really important though, because I think if you're mixing, I was going to say pleasure and pain, but if you're mixing your recreation area with your work area, it can cause a little bit of a disconnect and some cognitive dissonance.
It can indeed. Indeed.
And mind you, I know some people are very restricted in space. Maybe you're working right now out of a studio apartment, but you can still have a desk in the room on a different side than your bed or your TV or something else is. So anchoring anchoring and feeling present with, hey, this is my workspace, is a really great mindset to adopt.
Very good mindset to adopt.
Yeah. So what are your little tips and things? We have talked about bandwidth, we talked about space, we talked about...
Actually, we didn't talk about bandwidth, but bandwidth is important too. Yeah, I'm thinking a lot of people working at home, you might need to talk to your internet company about increasing your bandwidth, especially with a lot of the things going on. We're finding as we're on, there's a lot of kids playing games, people doing webinars, doing their homework, that kind of stuff, and it takes up a lot of bandwidth. So you may want to try connecting and using your phone bandwidth as well as your home bandwidth, just to see if one is better than the other, or if you ended up in a trouble spot and you need to do that,
Sure.
You can do that.
We're near a military base, and so our phone sometimes goes out a little bit. In fact, so much so that we are actually dependent upon Wi-Fi for our phones sometimes. But if you go in certain places outside the house, LTE works amazingly well. And when my wife had her Instagram Live the other day, I just went on to LTE, so she had enough bandwidth to do the Instagram Live.
Right. Most places is working very well. My cell carrier, who will remain nameless, I mean, I know that I'm having a lot of drop calls lately, and my bandwidth has been good though, but a lot of drop calls. No
yeah, drop calls have been really common for us too. And I don't know, sometimes it's even just trying to start a call. You have to turn off your phone, turn it back on again, or try calling somebody else other than the other number you're trying to call. It's very strange.
Having a good secondary way of making calls, either your regular phone line or internet phone line or something like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of getting a landline now, actually.
I have an internet line. I found I had all kinds of odd challenges with the regular phone line here.
Yeah.
To the point that I finally disconnected it and just went voice over IT.
There's just something though incredibly comforting about copper.
Yeah, there is, and you can always get help if you need it and all of that. So I mean, there's definite positives to that, and you might be one of those people that finds that.
Or battery backups is also a good thing.
You may need to go back and hook up the old landline for a little while.
Yeah. So distractions are a big thing working from home, because like right now I'm sitting in my wife's office, which is close to the laundry room, and I can hear the washer going. And I have done this in the past where I started a task, threw some laundry into the washing machine, came back, went to the dryer, started folding, and just having that discipline to just focus, at least for a short term, maybe to do only work for an hour, or only work for 20 minutes and take a 5-minute break. Some way of disciplining yourself. It's super important, because working from home is I think it's sort of like the circus of distractions. There's always a new act going on someplace.
So my buddy Richard had a great tip. He says, I do a lot of calls over the internet. The soft phone I use goes through Chrome. Chrome's notorious for, if it senses any type of disconnect with audio, it'll default to the next available audio source, and you won't know until the next time you make a call. And he says the solution is to restart your soft phone throughout the day to avoid that.
Oh.
I would say I've actually run into some other problems with Chrome, and I've been testing other browsers, because if Chrome doesn't work, I can use Firefox or Brave or Opera or some other browser. But that's true too for the stuff that we're doing with Zoom and a lot of the internet programs. You want to try to close down any of the extra programs you have running, and also to reboot between calls that you might be on.
So for example, I did not reboot. Normally I would, but I just came off of one live with my friend Monica Klein, and then onto this one. And I was just desperate to get to a new location. But under normal circumstances, we did the same thing when we used to do a lot of Google Hangouts. We would always restart the computer just beforehand.
Don't have a lot of tabs open. Use one tab to make sure that you can close and keep track of the tabs that you had to close. Those kinds of things can really help out a lot. But thanks for that, Richard. That was a great tip.
Do you use Pomodoro or anything like that?
I do use Pomodoro on occasion. I haven't been lately, but the Pomodoro timers. Time Doctor is one that one of my friends recommends, because he says you can really keep track of your time, especially if you're doing stuff as a consultant for clients. So Time Doctor is another good one. A friend of mine used to make a great Pomodoro type timer. But anything like that kind of helps you keep track of your time, helps you keep on task, even an egg timer to just kind of make sure that you're allotting so much time for the different tasks that you have to do throughout the day. And, if you don't use a planner or scheduler, you want to make sure that, because we're not used to having these distractions at home. We're used to people dragging us into meetings while we're in the office. If it's anything like when I used to work in an office. So, all of those things that can kind of help keep your schedule in line, keep you on task, really can make a big difference.
And in terms of schedule, I would even schedule meal times and not necessarily work at your desk.
Right.
Because you can have the same bad habits you might have if you're a prisoner in a cubicle city as you would at home if you are not taking breaks. In fact, sitting is a big thing. I try to get up every 25 minutes or so, at least for a 5-minute stretch.
Yep.
And sometimes I forget. And suddenly 3 hours have gone by. And why am I so stiff? Why am I so sore? Why are things so nasty? And because I've been ignoring my body's natural need to move.
Yeah. Take some time, take a walk during the day, make sure you take regular breaks. That's important. You don't have the coffee machine to go to and visit with your friends. So
I do have coffee breaks periodically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when you have two people working from home, that creates an interesting dynamic too. And so what we deliberately did was we separated our offices as far as possible. My wife is on the south side. Wait a second. She's on the north side of the house. I'm on the south side of the house.
We did the same thing.
Yeah.
We did the same thing. I'm totally not used to having my wife at home. She's got her own office. She's a massage therapist and physical therapist in private practice. And so she's never here, but all of a sudden she is a lot.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, what's going on with that? But we've been working from home together for 5.5 years. So but there is a period of adaptation, and we had a smaller house a couple of years ago, and it was very difficult. But the good news is I could walk to the library where they had phenomenal Wi-Fi, and it was 150 up and 150 down for free. And uploading videos, I've never seen anything faster than 150 up in terms of my personal experience. And it was great because we could be physically separated for certain periods of work time, because as a Mexican food blogger, she needed the kitchen to do her video production and her photography, and couldn't have anybody else around during that time. So we needed a lot of space in the house, particularly now with the stay-at-home order, because the libraries are closed, the coffee shops are closed, Starbucks is no longer operating, and it becomes very challenging when you can't get that physical space or that physical distance to concentrate on your work.
That brings up an interesting point. If you've got a mobile hotspot, a lot of places now have great deals on mobile hotspots, and you can at least work outside.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times we have an RV, so I'll go work out there with my mobile hotspot. You can drive down the road, drive someplace away from the house and be able to work that way, which is kind of nice. So I know you can't go to a coffee shop or whatever, but you can go to the park.
You can park nearby, actually, near the library, and still get a signal. It's not 150 up, but it's pretty close. It's like 110 up. The thing is, I would park in my car as opposed to sitting at the little cafe tables that are outside of the library, because I don't trust all those surfaces right now.
Oh, no. And our library here is completely closed now.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, they may or may not have their internet working at the moment. It's kind of hard to tell.
We just did a drive-by, and sure enough, the internet's up. So that's good. It's particularly good for people, because there are people here on our little island who do not have internet. And so that's very challenging for kids who need to do their schoolwork, but there's no internet connection at home.
Indeed. Yeah, and we've even resorted to using our hotspots that we use for camping at home. Because I have one of the Moblies that's for connected car. It plugs into your, the port where they test your car. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head, but it plugs into that port and it's powered by that, and you get internet through that, which is great. It's a great plan, unlimited internet, and it's fairly fast. And then we also have another Sprint hotspot that we carry around with us to different places. So those are really kind of nice to have if indeed you're running into bandwidth issues at home.
Yeah, I had an AT&T hotspot I used to carry with me on a regular basis. It was about $50 a month. I think it was, I can't remember if it was 5 gigs or 6 gigs, but I rarely used much of it. And finally, I just dumped it because it just wasn't necessary anymore.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, let's, just kind of going out to the audience. Are there any challenges that you're finding that you're having at home that you'd like some help with? Because we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do you have any headaches? You want to come in and talk? Let's talk more.
Come in and talk. I posted the link already. If anybody wants to come on and chat,
I need to find it so I can post it to my peeps.
And tell us your problems. The doctor is in.
The doctor is in now.
The doctor is in.
Dr. Home Office.
That's right. So,
hello, caller.
Want to go through? We'd be happy to walk through some stuff with you and talk about whatever you'd like. But yeah, I think those are some of the common problems for most people. Having their internet stuff straight, find a quiet place to work,
eliminate distractions,
keep track of things. And hey, I know this guy. Look who's here.
Hey,
what's happening? So how about you? What do you have for the viewers on
working from home?
From home.
Well, you've got to switch my camera angle because I don't want to be doing this.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me fix you. I forgot. This guy talks a lot with his hands, so we got to give him extra space.
See, now I feel like I have to change my view here because I'm getting
extra space.
I don't like that window, so I got to go back here.
I know.
There. Now I feel more powerful.
The mess I see at the edge of my screen, I got to fix that. So yeah.
Well, that's why it's very important to select your view.
My working space is messier than normal. Yeah, so you don't want all the stuff showing up.
You need one of Troy's patent pending sheets.
I need some extra space. A sheet would cover that for sure.
Well, right now, these ones right here, there's only a lot of 25 that are going to be signed at the very bottom. I'm going to be selling here shortly.
Are they numbered? Numbered and signed?
Numbered and signed.
There you go.
So I started out today, even though it's not Friday, but you had mentioned Jones today.
I mentioned Jones soda the other day.
And this is one I've never tried. It's a berry lemonade soda.
Oh, yeah. What do you think? Not so good?
It's all right. What's the whistle, but I don't think I'll be buying it anymore.
It's not very, very good.
I like their populars, like the root beer, the sarsaparilla. That stuff is great. And then there are some occasional good ones in the other varieties. Cotton candy, I think, was one of my kids'
Cotton candy? It just sounds disgusting.
Right? Wasn't that the one, Jones?
Oh.
I think so.
Drink.
Yeah.
They didn't have a whole ton of them of choice at the Walmart I popped into.
Yeah.
But I thought, hey, lemonade is good, and then berry, I think like raspberry lemonade or something like that, and then kids carbonated. Maybe it could be good, and it's not that bad. It's just not that good either. So.
Oh yeah, it's kind of in between. It's not great.
But it's been hopping for me today. I've been just jumping around, getting everybody's live streams in the group, and I've been listening to your guys's in the other tab. I wouldn't say other window, but actually other tab while I was kind of running around and doing all that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
are we your runaround soundtrack?
Yes.
Actually, I do. I pop your guys' on usually because usually I'm on like when I come join you guys a little bit earlier than this. So I'll listen to you guys for the first little bit, and then I'll pop on. But like this one probably went another 15 minutes more than I normally do, kind of before I pop on when I pop on. But I'm just that mystery. You never know when I'm going to come in.
We never know. And we were actually saying we thought this one might be one of our shorter ones because we're sticking to a particular
time. But then Troy came on.
But then here you are. So
I felt the tremor in the Matrix again.
There was a ripple in the force.
That's right. So
no, it's still some after effect from your guys' Matrix.
Yes, from
IG,
the inception, the Instagram within Instagram Live within a Facebook Live. Hey, so what are your big tricks and tips and strategies for working from home? Because you've got a long track record.
Yeah, you're kind of like
it's just a juggle game, really. But
well, it is too.
Yeah, especially if you have kids at home now, it's different versus my normal way of operating when the kids weren't here, kind of thing, or at least they're when they're in school and stuff. So I kind of really just block out some time. So my wife works at her salon 3 days a week.
Okay.
And she just kind of crams a whole bunch of clients in those 3 days and whatnot. And so what I do mainly during the 3 days, because when she's home, she mainly, takes care of them. And then I have to jump in and be dad every now and then, for when they're not listening to mom kind of thing, or whatever. But so on those 3 days, I kind of block to where, kids are going to be doing some schoolwork kind of this time. And for the most part, I'll just do kind of stuff that I can do really quick, or is just piddly stuff, or just I'm kind of thinking out loud, thinking ideas and whatever, so where they can disturb me in a sense to where, again, it's not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But then either when they're done with that, and they're outside playing some basketball, or they're playing some video games, or just playing Nerf and guns and whatever. That's when I kind of really get down to the things. And in fact, they just finished their work, and my son came down to close the door in this room because he heard me talking. He knew I was going live. So that's what I do, is just block out. And I think that's pretty much common sense. You know what I mean? Blocking out time to do stuff. At the same time, I think try not to be frustrated with yourself if one, you're not as flowy as you'd like to be, or you're not as structured as you have been and everything, because the reality is you are not in your norm.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But again, as we talked,
there's nothing normal about the new normal.
No,
exactly. There's nothing normal about the new abnormal.
Yeah.
And like we talked a couple streams back, you just have to kind of remember as well that this too shall pass. So in other words, like, even if you're frustrated of how maybe you're not as effective as you normally are, or whatever, you'll get back, things will get back to normal and that kind of thing. So just kind of, bear with it and stuff. But I think also, just with it being crazy, again, as we talked about the other day, it's really good to have people to connect with and bounce stuff off of. And even if you're not doing something like a live stream like we're doing, but get some video time, I think helps. I mean, I think it's great phone, you can talk. I'm of course holding it down. I'm holding it like, right. I was like holding it like this, because that's where the mic is. But because I don't know, when I'm talking to a friend, I'm not usually like this. I'm sitting down and I'm just like this. Yeah, exactly. But I think, actually get on and, do whether, it's a Skype, or pull up one of your services, pull up StreamYard, and just, again, I mean, just where you get a video kind of chat kind of going with your friends like that. Because I think what's kind of good, or helps with this time and what's going on, is letting out kind of some stuff, just venting, and just talking about some nonsensical stuff, or how even sometimes talking about how you weren't effective that day. You know what I mean?
Connection in general is good right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, we all had a Monday that was just very challenging for all three of us, which is very interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing is, in fact, speaking of that one Monday we talked about, music is, again, something that I do use to help me during my day. So when I'm cranking through projects, I don't necessarily have to think through so much. It's almost kind of like just, I wouldn't necessarily call it monotonous work, because there's some thought into it that has to be done, but I don't have to fully concentrate. I get the music playing and I get it going. I mean, and that for me is I'm big music oriented. I mean, I grew up in the 80s. I'm into breakdance, and I mean, so music is like really a big part of my life.
Yeah.
So when do we get to see you breakdance?
Well, I will tell you that if you go into the live event marketers group, there is a section in there. I think it's called Take a Break. If you click on that, there's a video of me doing something, I think it was 10 years ago, because I had somebody who was surprised that I would break dance.
Yeah.
Which actually involves really 3 types of dance, which we won't get into, but I do what they call pop, and it's more like the robotic stuff. And so I have a video in there that I did about 10 years ago, so you can see it in there. I threw it in there as like,
that is great
for the group.
That is great.
But I believe as well that even if you're not kind of into it like me, everybody likes music. It's so part of, I think, our core. So whatever your music is, sometimes, take that. I think we need to take, with, again, this situation to have you be more effective, is taking breaks.
Right.
Because I think now that things are so messed up, I think sometimes we get to feel like we've got to be grinding even harder, or we got to do it differently, or you know what I mean. And so
we have the opportunity to do it, but I don't know that there's a gun to our head to do it. And I think if you're feeling as if you have to hustle, you're going to
self-destruct,
weaken your brain muscle. I mean, the opportunity that we have really is the time to reflect and to plan and to act on some things, but you can't act on everything right now. So there's a bit of a pause, economic pause in general, even in the digital world.
The other thing aside from music that I use a lot, and I don't know about you guys whether you play with either of these, but a lot of people do meditation with Headspace, or Brain FM was one that AppSumo came out with for a while. And I find that helpful even to work to. They have one that you can work to that stimulates you to help you concentrate better.
Yeah, I've used those. Those are actually very good.
They actually work really, really well.
It tells you say, are you doing focused work? Are you doing more monotonous work? It gives you a choice.
Work gives you a choice between the two. You want to take a nap?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. We usually start the day after with classical music, because I was trained.
Classical's great too.
I didn't listen to much pop music at all when I was a kid, because my parents were both classical musicians, and I played the French horn. And so in the morning, we like to start out with a little bit of Beethoven and Bach. And actually, Vivaldi's Four Seasons gets played more than you can possibly imagine. But that just it's somewhat calming, somewhat stimulating. And then we just change the soundtrack as the day progresses, almost like the old Muzak, where they would change it according to people's blood sugar levels.
Well, I'd agree with you. Like, even John, like what John said, something meditative, again, with the, whether it could be, ocean sounds, it could be, binaural beat stuff. I mean, just stuff to where it really is an auditory thing. And like what you're saying as well, Dr. B, I think that's a great idea. Classic. I'm not even saying, that's why I was never talking about any particular music. It doesn't have to be upbeat, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, classical, you can find stuff that's very upbeat as well. But the point is, it's just, I think music does have a connection to, or I should say sounds have a connection to people. If you think about it, you hear a certain sound in, when you were growing up, your parents yelling your name loud. Hey, that's a sound, and it causes an instant reaction. But yet you hear somebody that you care about say, I love you, is a sound, but it causes a whole rush of emotions. And so sound really is big, and
smell too. If you have smells, because of course we have with Maggie having a Mexican food blog, there's always something new that's cooking. And sometimes I find the smell can be a distraction, because this wonderful aroma wafts through the whole house.
For me, it would be.
I'm trying to concentrate, and now I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah.
Or sometimes when you put like just a smell, like somebody may have lavender, makes you feel really relaxed. Yeah. Or the smell of lemon can stimulate you a little bit more. Smells are also very powerful as motivators.
I really like vanilla. Vanilla is
great. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got one that's supposed to be really good for helping you with concentration. I think it's vetiver oil or something like that. It's supposed to be very helpful.
Is it like a combination of oils, and it's called that, or it's an
oil itself? I think it's vetiver.
It's an essential oil of some sort.
Yeah, because I've never heard of that, so I didn't know it was a plant or some kind.
I hadn't either. Somebody mentioned it in one of their practices, using it for meditation and concentration. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'd like to see what it's like. So I bought a sample of it. Try it out.
Is it working?
I haven't really used it enough to tell. Like I've played with it. It seems to. It's a very kind of it's a pleasant but strong scent. So it's kind of like lavender, but it's a little more. Lavender is kind of relaxing. It's kind of eucalyptus-y-ish.
Eucalyptus-ish.
Yeah,
I think the domain's available.
It's got its own. Yeah.
Eucalyptus.
I'm trying to. I know what the thing is. I could just go grab it, but I'm trying to think of how to describe it.
You could pop it into the comments later.
I could do that.
Oil.
Sure.
I don't know about what. We're all concerned about the price of oil for most of this week. Now we're going to find out.
It's whatever. Oh gosh, yeah, they're giving oil away right now.
Well, I joked in another thread that somebody was talking about that, and I said, "Yeah, well, you wait till everybody gets back out going, and they start charging $22 a gallon for gas."
Yeah, no, that'll be next.
So, and he's like, "Oh, I hope not." Not, of course, mine's an exaggeration, but
as long as it stays low for camping season, that's all I care
That's
about.
all you care about.
Because that bus of mine takes a lot of gas.
remember, it's got the extra
It does.
the extra length on it.
Go for premium.
It does. Huh? I do.
Use premium.
I do use a lot of times I'll use premium. It depends on where I get gas from. I find that not all gas is created equal.
Yeah, that's true.
You can go someplace and buy 87 octane one place, and I can go buy 87 octane and my bus runs great on it. I can go someplace else and it runs horrible. So there is a big difference between. You really see it in that. I don't notice it in my car. It's no big deal at all. But the minute I put it in that bus, man, you can really tell the difference.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I know everybody says, put the gas in that your manual says, but it's really interesting because we have two Lexus. We have a sedan and we have one of the SUVs. And in the SUV, if you don't put premium, it'll knock and stuff.
Starts coughing.
But you're supposed to put premium in the sedan as well, and we put the mid grade, and it's been fine. We've had the problem.
I mean, at 89, it's not that far away from the 90 that you can get away with. So it's
it's kind of interesting how one is, one really does show the effect, and the other one is like, hey, whatever.
It's also how they set the computer. So, hey, have you ever worked out of your SUV, like John works out of his RV?
Well, again, an RV is completely different than an SUV. I mean,
I know, but I'm just saying if you
had a beer and a sandwich and everything in the dining room, and not drive. So
I have filmed a video or two for a thing like.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, but not. I haven't done it very often. It's been quite a while since I've done that at all. But
is there a sheet in your SUV too behind you?
No.
There is.
There's a sheet behind you.
Wow.
So much for that rearview mirror.
I had to pick you up on your sarcasm.
With my curiosity.
Not too many people run into the having to work on the road unless you camp a lot, hike a lot, travel a lot, or you do outside sales or something where you need to travel from customer to customer, which I've many years.
It depends on what you're doing, because I have a friend whose podcasts are primarily recorded in his Buick Enclave. He parks sometimes in a Walmart parking lot and records his podcasts because he's got 4 kids at home.
Yeah, I often do those from the woods. Like I'll do podcasts. I do a lot of live video when we're out in the woods and stuff. I actually think I'm going to separate into a separate channel this year because it's just so different and it appeals to a very it's a very select audience, and it's one of those things that doesn't seem right to mix. I talk about it a little bit in this forum, but it's really a separate subject unto itself. And it is now that whole group of people that are, vagabonds on the road who work from campsite to campsite, now they're people without a country because most of them don't have real homes to go back to or anything during this whole thing. So they've got a whole host of problems that we wouldn't even be thinking about.
Yeah, that's true. Let's say first world problems.
I know.
I do know a couple of marketers that have done and still are doing the kind of place to place. They've got an RV and they're doing all their marketing stuff and having a great time. I think that's a cool concept for sure.
It is.
Another thing that I think for productivity is really looking at your computer. And I mean, some of us, again, like we talked a little bit, I think we talked to it after the stream, but like shelfware and things.
Yeah.
Just looking at some of the software that you have and really looking at what it, I'm sitting here I'm looking down here at my little, my row of icons and stuff, but what are some of the things that can help you in automation in a sense?
Yeah.
And there's quite a few kind of bot type things and macros, stuff that you can get for the PC, and there's less on the Mac, but I did get one. I should say did get one. When I had the because this is a new Mac that I have. On the other Mac that I had prior to this, I had Windows installed, and I just haven't installed Windows on this one yet because I jump back and forth between the two depending on what I need to do because they both have good apps and some and sometimes they're not supported on the other platform. But anyway, the one that I got was Keyboard Maestro for the Mac, and it does allow you to, you know, set up a lot of things, and you can have them fire off depending on like the time, or, you know, a special keyboard setup, or, you know, something that's added to a folder, it can do something with it. And
Right.
so, you know, now is a good time to, you know, to do some of that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm all about automation. To me, I think we talked again, either it was this with you guys or again another call, but my brother always used to joke about me years ago, because I'm always looking for leverage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that to me is a leverage point to where, again, everybody's really focusing on making more money, and I'm all for that.
Yeah.
However, understanding that time, you know, people will say time is money as well. And we've talked about this before. Well, I'm like, well, unless it's therapeutic for you, as I'm pointing towards my window to say mow the lawn or whatever, a lot of people can make more money doing something else than, you know, I mean, I've got like a quarter acre of land. So, I mean, you know, it's like a huge yard. And, well, okay, huge. I mean, it's
I used to mow a quarter acre, so I know what you're talking
yeah.
about.
And so,
I got a big yard.
yeah, yeah. And so, I mean,
Like,
the
wow.
time that it takes you to do that, you could be making more money, meaning that you hire it out to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, time is money. People will always say, "Oh yeah, time is money," but I'm like, do you really stop and think about what you're saying, and do you even live it yourself? So, to me, if I can do things that can save me time or accomplish more of the same things that I need to get done in that amount of time, that is more money to me, because that time cannot be brought back. You can always make more money. You can increase the amount of money that you make, et cetera, et cetera. When that time is gone, it is gone. So it's a concept for me that I look to balance the two. You know what I mean? There's where I'm like, yeah, I could make more money, but I need to spend some time with the boys. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those time and experiences and memories, again, once they're gone, they're gone. But you also have to wait out with, you got to pay your bills. So anything that I can do with my time that leverages it through through automation, you know, and that could be even, or, you know, say like a virtual assistant, or, you know, even some of the kids, like sometimes, you know, with the kids, I'll have them do a thing or two, you know, with me, or, you know, or like, hey, come here and look at this, and I'll explain to you what it's doing. And so it might slow me down or whatever, but at the same time, they're kind of learning something or learning more about what dad does, kind of thing.
Or tools like IFTT and Secure that we use like a lot to automate some of our tasks. I'm trying to think of other things that are like
well,
that.
One time leverager too is just turn off your notifications.
Oh, yeah.
Because the distraction of having notifications popping up on your phone, and now the latest, of course, there are all these websites that you may look at somebody's blog and it will say, you know, do you want to have notifications? Will you enable those? It's like, no, hell no. I don't want to find out any more, you know, anything more popping into my face all the time.
Yeah, anything that even is this temporary thing, you know, like you're saying, yeah, shut this off. They'll be there when you're done.
Yep.
You know, and it's interesting. I've been pretty good at not being driven too much by technology, in a sense, meaning that like if my phone dings and I'm in the middle of something, because in fact, my phone is rarely off of vibrate. You know, I don't want to hear a ding. I don't need to hear the phone ringing. I've got on mine, I have it set for certain vibrations that I know, like if it's my wife calling, okay, then that's important to check.
Yeah.
But it's hard for some people they're just so used to responding to it. It's just like,
instantaneous response.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting when you do it for the first time. I'm not too bad at it, but sometimes I'm like, I'm getting a little more messages than I wanted to even check, even though I wait to check them, where I'll just like, hey, I'm going to leave my phone upstairs, or I'm going to I'll turn it off. I don't usually turn it off. I usually move it. I doesn't say sometimes turn it off, but I really don't do that too often. And it is about shutting out to kind of to either let you focus, or just using your time more effectively, because, you know, you're doing something and then, oh, what's that? you know, and it's like, oh, okay, I don't need, you know, and yeah,
And then you go down another rabbit hole and you've lost suddenly 15, 20 minutes disappears. Where'd that go?
yeah, and in fact, you know, like that actually makes me think of, so not to not go down rabbit holes. Like for me, my wife, I have it specifically set up so I know it's her. So if you can then help have something again, to me, that's another process that helps filter stuff for you. So, hey, my phone could be, you know, buzzing over here, and I know I'm getting some messages or whatever, but I'm like, okay, well, it's just a single buzz, so it's not anybody important or one of the ones that I recognize. So I can just keep going. I can still keep going. But I hear the special one I've done for my wife. Well, then I know I probably want to check that. You know, she may just be saying, hey, you know, how you doing? I love you. You know, I'll see you later on, you know, or whatever it is. And that's fine. And I can go back to work. But maybe it's like, oh, she needs me to give her a call about something. You know what I mean? You know, that kind of stuff. So anything that, again, that can help you help process stuff for you ahead of time. So it helps, again, do that filter. Or it automates it for you already. And even then, a filter to me is a form of automation. It helps you to already makes decisions for you, helps you make those decisions as well.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I have 2 timers on my iPhone that I use. One's Timer Plus, and the other's a timer thing that keeps track of all the times you're on different apps, so you can keep track of how long you're using certain things, like how much time you're spending on Facebook or.
Oh, on the iPhone they have one built in already.
Yeah, they do.
I was trying to remember that. But Timer Plus is the one that's like a Pomodoro timer for my phone. And then I can't remember the other one. James Schramko recommended it.
James Schramko, one of my favorites.
Yeah. So on the Mac or on the iPhone, you have screen time there. Let me see if I can get it.
Yeah, it's something like that. I'm not.
If you could, if something could sort through different apps, that would be pretty interesting. Like I spent an hour on Twitter. How'd that happen? You know, so. And Instagram is easy to go down the rabbit hole of Instagram.
Oh gosh. It's easy to go down that hole.
Yeah.
Yep.
And as far as productivity, and you guys are talking about going down the rabbit hole, I actually think, and this kind of goes back with sometimes, you know, you need to step away. I think going down rabbit holes are fine and are needed. As long as that's not all you're doing.
Right.
I mean, you could find some serendipity, and you start exploring, and this leads to that and that, and suddenly you arrive at something. Like I found another streaming app last night by just doing a search and going page after page after page, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this one's like.
And now yours actually had a good positive end. Mine is sometimes you do need some mind-numbing stuff. You need to let your just self jello-ize, you know. Just
Tiger King.
Netflix moment.
Total jello.
You know, I think I watched 15 minutes or something of the first episode, and I just kind of like,
It's a lot of people, but I noticed that with binge watching almost anything, that if you leave too early, you're not hooked. And then like Breaking Bad was one I really enjoyed, and it wasn't until like episode 5, I think, that I really began to say, this is really interesting. And the Tiger King thing, I mean, we're just looking at it as a study in abnormal psychology.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen so many crazy, screwed up narcissists in my life as I have all surrounding this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a great study in psychology for sure. So.
Nature.
But they're all nuts. So
yeah, I was told that the Tiger King show's about a train wreck.
Yeah.
Sounds like a train wreck.
Many train wrecks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these trains come and collide into.
They all come colliding together. It's amazing. It's just amazing. I mean, it does satisfy a certain human desire for voyeurism, to be a fly on the wall and kind of explore and look at somebody. I think that's the success of reality TV in general. It's so addictive for people to look at other people's lives and either desire to be more like them or to be thrilled that you are not as screwed up as they are.
It's the truck fire you can't stop watching.
Exactly. Or the NASCAR crash.
Or whatever it might be. Yes.
Have you is Carol Baskin, is she the one lady that, like, because I've seen, like, again, some clips and things on it, but is she the one that's the pro tiger kind of thing or something.
Yeah, she's the tiger rescue person.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Well, what's interesting is I seen online, and I know somebody took a picture, but it was like Baskin Robbins. It was their outside sign, and it said something like "No relation to Carol Baskin."
No relation to Carol Baskin.
I thought that was pretty funny.
There's a lot of funny memes out now. I think in fact, my wife was saying we looked at some stuff on TikTok and we looked at some memes, and she was saying, "Gosh, people have way too much time on their hands right now."
Way too much. Well, they do. Indeed,
so the question is, but your point, Troy, earlier was that time is this precious commodity, and what are we going to do with our time?
We can't get more.
And but I do again think that it is okay that when you do need to, just mentally relax, because a lot of people beat themselves up that I just watched an episode of Tiger King, let alone 3 or whatever episode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they think about how they didn't use their time. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. I knew it was going to strike a chord with you. But and you can beat yourself up, that how you wasted and you could have done this and whatever. Okay, reality is that yes, that is what happened, but the beating yourself up is not going to do any good. So just understand that that's kind of water under the bridge, and what is it you're going to do now and move forward.
Right.
And yeah, you may end up doing something like that again. We all do. We all have reasons to beat ourselves up, but just don't stay in that.
But do we have a reason to beat ourselves up? Because I think we're our own natural critics, and that the self-talk and the "you're such a jerk" or "how could you possibly have done that," all that crap that goes through people's heads is one in which we have to kind of take responsibility to be our own caregiver. It's the old story about put your oxygen mask on first before you take care of somebody else. And the sense of unworthiness, the sense of self-worth often causes us to beat ourselves up if we don't feel that deep down inside that we're really valuable. It's that old programming from teachers and preachers and maybe parents who weren't as kind as they could have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, but it's also, an opportunity to, well, it's part of what makes us though, because if you only ran on everything you said was always positive, and you'd almost then people would be like, this person isn't realistic though. You know what I mean? Like,
or you could be a psychopath.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think, like anything else, what anything is determined by the meaning.
Yeah.
So if you're like, I messed up, and it starts getting you reflective into, well, what should I do different next time? Or, hey, you know what, Troy, it was okay to watch 5 hours of Tiger King, because like I've been working really hard, and it may be called justification or something, but I mean, again, anything has the meaning that you give to it.
Yeah.
So if you think like I'm a complete loser, all I did this whole week, watch a whole bunch of shows, and I didn't get
binge watched 24/7 for a whole week.
Yeah. And I mean, you know what? I'm like, okay, so
you might need a reality check from your reality TV.
But what are you going to do right now, though? Okay, and appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed that and store that as you just had a good time to veg, because sometimes it just feels good to just veg. But okay, well, what are we going to, what are we going to do now? And I mean, that's really all. I mean, if you think even, and it's interesting, we were talking about scriptures yesterday or whatever, or the day before, but it's almost like, if you look at it, say, as a sin, right? Well, those who believe in forgiveness from that, well, that's the thing. You forgiven and you move on. You don't keep wallowing back in the sin and the whole memory that you messed up and whatever. If you believe in the forgiveness that you have received or you're working on to receive, and again, you move on from that.
Well, you make a mistake and you correct it. I mean, sin always interests me because it comes from the French word meaning to miss the mark in archery. You miss the target. And so, but we put such incredible heaviness to the whole word sin, even though it's taken on so many different meanings. I kind of like the idea you miss the mark, you miss the target. So now you change your aim and fire and hit something that's going to be a little closer to the goal that you had.
Yeah, I like that look at it. And I mean, yeah, I could get more religious and stuff, but I don't necessarily want to do that.
It's the problem is, the grandson of the preacher is going to come out in Me Too, and I don't think people want to hear that.
Yeah,
So.
no. But it's really Richard says shame, and that's true. We have that shame, and like you had mentioned earlier too, it comes from parents or teachers, or
it comes from all kinds of people who've programmed us.
Yeah. And even our own self-programming that we added on to that.
Yep.
But again, it's like, you know what? It's okay. You're not the only one that's done it. You're not the only one that's going to do it, and you're going to repeat it as well. But move on from there. It's
well, that's also the beauty of the community that you've created in the live stream group, because people have experiences. We can share the experiences, the mistakes we've made, the corrections we've made, the tactics, the strategy, the techniques that we've learned along the way.
Well, even in my lives, to some degree that I do in there, I'm really, really trying to be me. I'm trying to be as much as me as possible. That I also, if I were just going to be really me, I don't know, I'd probably be more relaxed and nonchalant, but I'm like, well, this is more of an update stream. So I've also got to be doing updates instead of like, so, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, I'm not really expecting people to chat a whole ton, even though some people come in and chat and say hi, whatever. It's not like, hey, send me a question. This is just a group update stream, right? Mm-hmm. Versus like a stream I'm talking about a particular thing, and I want to know your comments so I can, then address them and that kind of stuff. But it's no, there goes the visual side of me. Okay, let me tell you something really quick. So if you are a visual person, when you talk, you have so many images coming through, and you're trying to convert those into words very quickly.
Yeah.
And so sometimes those images, then all of a sudden, as you see one, you start to talk about it and you're formulating it. All these other ones have come up, and now you're like overlooking at this one, and you're like, you can't remember
what the other ones were.
It was back here. But it was something, I don't know. It was something about me just really being me and being.
Well, me. I think you're talking about the difference between projecting the updates and what's important to maintain the group, sort of the rules of the road and reminders, as opposed to having a casual conversation.
Yeah. I just really am trying to be me and the group in general. At the same time, apply my years of experience when I'm talking to people and trying to guide them and help them understand. And then I was speaking to another friend yesterday that I was helping with. So Mitch, I was helping him with Webinar Jam, and well, he's never been on it at all as a presenter or anything like that. So I pulled him in, but I really try to be me because that's who I am. But at the same time,
well, nobody else could be you, for God's sakes.
It's really hard to put in words, but I want people to, if and when they ever really meet me, they're like, well, that's Troy. Like, we know him.
Yeah.
I don't always, I do like to talk about the good sides of marketing, meaning like, hey, I've mentioned, that I've got some arcade machines and they're fully restored from the 80s, and they were in little arcades like that were, and they cost a decent penny for, each one or whatever.
Sure.
Now that is flexing in a sense. I mean, it's really saying like, hey, I've had to make some money to buy these.
Sure.
And you're wanting to do that partly as a marketer. This is what I'm talking about, kind of being naked in a sense of just being, This is me. I want to be real. I want to tell you the real deal, because a lot of marketers won't.
Yep.
But I want you to know the real deal, because I care about people and I understand the journey that you have to go through with business in general. And at the same time, so while I do want to flex, because that is a certain part of the audience as well, that like that and they hear that, and that's what attracts them, and that's what they want to go for them as well.
Yeah, but do you want to attract those people? That's the other question I ask myself sometimes.
Well, it's a give and take. Some days you feel like no, and then other days you're like, hey, I did just buy a new car, right. And I want to tell people about it because these are the people I interact with, so you want to, but you don't want to seem too braggy.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm going back to Tiger King, because last night's episode, this fellow was trying to get money from a guy who presented himself as this multimillionaire from Vegas. And it turned out the guy actually had rented a mansion, was behind on his Ferrari payments, and really didn't have the money after he sold the zoo to this guy. And there's a lot of posing pretender internet marketers. The picture I always see is that their arms are folded, they're leaning against a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something like that. And for me, that's not terribly appealing, but for some younger guys, that seems to be the thing that they're after. Oh, I can't wait to get my Ferrari or my Lamborghini.
Right. Yeah. And that's where, for me personally, I was more like that when I was younger.
Yep.
And that was a big thing that attracted me. Then as I've gotten older, to me, it comes down to, again, of having time to do the things that I want, which of course, to some degree, includes money, where that's just paying a home, paying for the house and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's more about the experiences, the connection with people. I've switched over to relationships as well, because I don't want to be on my deathbed and then be like, well, nobody really cared about me. They just bought into the dream that I spread, but they didn't really get to know me. They didn't really know me. They didn't want to get to know me. And I think if I care about people as well, then I don't have a problem. Well, again, same meaning, if I live on that part of I care about people as well, in business, I need to also tell them, like, well, I don't recommend XYZ, and here's why, and here's where I messed up. So there's let me show you the pot of the gold and the rainbow, because there is some excitement in that, and some people want that to some degree, right? Some of the usually the young crowd wants a lot of it, and as you get older, you're like, but then you've also got to say, well, now on that rainbow journey, so the journey to the pot of gold, there's bumps in the road, and I see too many marketing things that say that it's all, peaches and cream, which is,
or you press the easy button. That was easy.
Right.
And I'm more of a, I want something that I can do. And again, this is probably me being older or having shifted into olders. I want something that I can do that can bring money in on a consistent basis, so that I can live the lifestyle that I want to have and have the memories and the time to do that. So, so for me, it's all about maintaining that. And again, everybody has their own idea of what that, again, the end part of the goal is, but it's not so much about having the biggest. When I was younger, it was about, I wanted this and that and whatever, so I can have all these bragging rights, because that's what everybody wants to hear and know. But it still would have been the things that I like. But at the same time, I've kind of grown into the fact of, I just want to have things set up to where if I don't, if we're gone for 2 weeks or a month or whatever, everything still is paid for. I'm not having to stress about, well, I've got to get back and I've really got to do this. So it's more of creating a business that can pay for the lifestyle that you want to have.
Yeah, the lifestyle business.
And also the other thing too is, again, as you do get older, the kind of what happens is you're kind of chasing the Joneses as well. And that's if you haven't heard that expression before, but that's where
keeping up with the Joneses.
I call it chasing Joneses, but keeping up.
I don't chase them anymore.
Yeah,
so they got scared when I did that.
Because
Stop. Stalking the Joneses. Yeah.
Stalking the Joneses. This week on Stalking the Joneses. Look who's stalking.
Dr. V get arrested.
Watch me be taken away in cuffs.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. Hey, so guess what?
We went over.
I know. We're like at an hour. So I think we wrap it up.
We're okay. We're still good. It's better than some of our marathon sessions. So.
We're very good.
So working from home is what we do.
This is what we do. It's great having you on today, Troy. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure, guys. Good talking to you.
Yeah. Appreciate you stopping in. And bye, everybody. Great to see you. And we'll see you.
Stay safe.
Tomorrow.
Stay productive.
So join us tomorrow at 5.
At 5. Oh, it's not heavy hour yet. That's Friday.
3 Mountain Time.
Or what?
Yes. 2 Pacific. 3 Mountain.
3 Mountain Time. 4 Central.
4 Central. And we don't know the GMT right now.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you, Richard. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Richard.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. GMT minus plus 200.
Plus 8.
3, carry the 4. I don't know.
That's
Have you doing Richard's puzzles again?
Hawaiian.
Richard does those puzzles. You know those crazy puzzles?
These guys.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about us. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just like, I can do this.
Oh no, we're still on. No, you did stop. Okay.
No, I didn't stop.
You didn't stop.
I'm stopping now. All right. See you guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
8 p.m. See you later.